Daily, I see individuals who are on the fence about filing their VA disability claim because there's some very common fears, and which is quite frankly understandable. Today, I'm going to dispel some of those myths, reveal some certain things that you should consider when thinking about filing your VA disability claim, because it is a huge decision for you and your family. Let's get started. The first reason that I see is a big friction point for lots of individuals is just simply feeling overwhelmed by the process. The amount of red tape involved and the complication, or at least perceived complexity, of the VA claims process could be enough to just make you say, hey, you know what, forget it altogether. That happens especially with a lot of individuals who maybe have gotten underrated previously, and it even gets discouraging to the point where, hey, I'm never touching that again, whatever, just leave it for years and years and years. When I myself was first getting into researching the VA disability claims process, there were things like, how do I even know if I'm diagnosed or not for the condition, right? Because the doctor said I had, whatever it was, but it wasn't on my medical sheet. Where's my diagnosis? Things like, how do I pull my records? What's a nexus letter? What's a personal statement? There's so much, and it's totally understandable, especially at first, to feel overwhelmed. But once you start getting some momentum, especially if you can look at someone here on YouTube that teaches it in a style that you resonate with, you can really quickly start to get excited about the process because it's worth it for you and your household at the end of the day. If I could just give some very broad tips on people, coming up where you're first hearing about this and thinking about, potentially exploring this, is get immersed in the process. First of all, go ahead and pull your military records. Go to va.gov, just feel around on the website, go on, click, where it says file a disability claim, and even open up an intent to file, because that's good for a whole year. It doesn't have to be a rush. It doesn't have to be intimidating. You can really start piecing it out and gain momentum instantly, and you'll be done before you know it. 3 quick action steps here. Number 1, just get started. Even if you don't know what you're doing, get started. Open up that intent to file, because it'll light a fire under your butt. And again, you'll have a whole year to file, but it gives you some momentum instantly to carry you through. 2, find someone who's gone through the process and has had a good result. There are a lot of individuals, especially in the military, right? And us veterans, we tell people certain things, but make sure that they're credible and make sure that they know what they're talking about. Things are always harder in our minds than what they actually are in reality, and this is no different. Finally, I get this all the time. People are getting started and they ask me, where the heck are my military treatment records? I know I went to the doctor during service. Maybe they were misplaced. Where can I find my medical records from in service? I'm going to help you out. I'll leave a link in the description below. You're going to want to go to that link and find where you can pull your military treatment records from. That way you can have a leg to stand on for your VA disability claim. It will help out tremendously. Now, all that's well and good, but a lot of individuals actually struggle with something more internal that doesn't allow them to get started with the process. Look, during the military, you were, trained, basically reinforced and conditioned to think about every single other person except yourself, right? Think about service before self. It's your brothers and sisters in arms before self. It's your unit before self. All these things. Now, it's actually difficult to transition and pivot to where you put yourself first, your household first. And what I'm talking about is, am I even worthy? Do I even deserve a VA rating? I don't look like Lieutenant Dan, therefore I don't deserve this rating. This could be a main factor to really inhibiting people to even go for this claim. Some don't want to be a burden on the system in terms of financials. So I'm going to throw out some numbers here, and you can do what you want with this information, but I just want to put into perspective the actual sort of toll and scale of what you have on the system. So up to this point, the filming of this video, the U.S. government, meaning you and I, the taxpayer, has given about $175 billion in aid to Ukraine, which is a non-ally. Not saying that's good or bad, no opinion there. I'm just saying it is a non-ally, Ukraine, and we've given $175 billion. To put that into perspective, if you were to count to that number, it would take you 5.5 millennia, 5,500 years. So the pathos of this country is the fact that we protect our veterans. You are supposed to come first. So if a non-ally is getting this number, hey, just look around at the spending, right, of the government. If they don't spend it on you, they're going to make up a reason to spend it, period, right? So do not feel bad for trying to get simply what you've earned. This is a contractual agreement. If you have done the honorable thing and withheld your end of the bargain, the other party must also do so. Get what you deserve. Of course, never take advantage of the system. Very few people do that. Most veterans are downplaying their symptoms. Don't let that be you. And the final fear, you are coming into the VA claim, maybe you have an existing rating. People are scared to lose it. They're scared to get it decreased. Hey, I'm just kind of good with the status quo. Sure, I'm a little underrated, but if I apply for an increase, I don't want to risk getting decreased and further dropping my monthly income. This is a very real scenario. The OIG recently was looking into and investigating veterans who are using certain DBQs from these Nexus letter farms and certain VA claim consulting companies and looking for fraud. I mean, these are things that can happen. In terms of, things that aren't fraudulent, if you haven't been treated in a long time, the VA could look at that and say that, hey, you know what? On paper, it looks like you've healed and they can decrease you. But the bottom line is that if you feel like maybe you were underrated and you did your claim really without much education at all, now you're getting educated on the process, the likelihood of you getting decreased with more education is actually quite insignificant. I will say it is greater than a 0% chance, but typically you have a much more upside and much better chance of getting an increase than you do a decrease. I really hope this video helped you, help get the ball rolling. If it did, please hit the like button and share this with someone who needs it. Cheers.